Governor's March 13th, 2020 disaster declaration and subsequent suspension of certain Texas Open Meetings Acts provisions. This September 3rd, 2020 meeting of the NCT 911 Board of Managers is hereby called to order via teleconferencing at, I guess it's 12:31. Director of NCT 911, Christy Williams, will now conduct a roll call of members to confirm the presence of a quorum. Please unmute your line to answer when you're called.
Thank you. Roger Deeds.
Here.
Jeff Hodges. Hal Richards. Lane Aiken.
Here.
Jennifer Bertium.
Here.
Gary Kaplinger.
Here.
Danny Chambers. Okay, I thought the judge was on. Judge Chambers, are you on the call? Okay. We're gonna wait on that. Matt Coates. Carrie Cruz.
Here.
Harold Evanson.
Here.
Lashadium Shinwell.
Here.
Jim Skinner. Randy Stinson. I also show him as attending, so we may be having audio trouble with those two. Jerry Stringer.
Here.
So, Mr. President, without...
I'm sorry, Mr. Hodges, I'm gonna allow him to talk. He's on audio only, so I can't make him a panelist. So he's on audio. I'm gonna allow him to say he's here.
Okay. Shane Long.
Here.
And Wilson. Okay, and so then we also have Jeff Hodges on audio. Is that right, Jesse?
I believe that's correct. I've asked him to unmute. Mr. Hodges, if at all possible, can you join using the Zoom link? And that way I can put you where you are able to speak.
Mr. Eastland, I see your mouth moving, but I could not hear you. So if you were speaking to the group, we could not hear you, sir, as well.
Okay, and I do have chat confirmation that Danny Chambers and Randy Stinson are on the call, but they are having audio issues. And James, is it okay if they vote via chat?
I don't believe we'll be able to use chat for that particular function. We really need them to be able to unmute their device at a minimum and get audio. Jesse, Christy, where are we in terms of quorum?
So without the three that I can't get on audio, we have,
Oh,
we have less than a quorum.
You said less than a quorum?
Correct.
Rick, if you're on the call, Mr. Hodges has his hand raised, but I'm just not able to unmute him. Can you try?
I'm not able to unmute him either. You might need to get out of the meeting and call back in.
And Judge Chambers, to answer your question, if you can call in on the audio line, then they hopefully should be able to unmute you, but that's what we're having trouble with right now.
And if possible, just a reminder for those that are on their phones, you should still be able to utilize the Zoom link on your personal device if you have that installed.
Okay, Danny Chambers has confirmed that he's on the phone line now. Can y'all try to unmute him?
I am not able to unmute him.
I apologize for these technical difficulties. We did test it this morning and were able to unmute people who called in on this line. If you can just bear with us for a few minutes. I also know that Judge Richards will be joining a few minutes late.
For those of you that joined via the phone call, can you try to do the Zoom link again to see if it'll work this time?
If we haven't learned anything during COVID, it's patience. So 2020, COVID strikes again. We'll be patient.
Thank you.
For those of you that called in, try pressing *6 to unmute yourself.
How did that work? This is Danny Chambers.
Oh,
Excellent. We can hear you now.
yay.
Good deal.
So that brings us up to 9, which means we just have to fix one of these other two guys, or Judge Richards has to join to get our quorum.
This is Jeff Hodges. Can you hear me?
We
Hello?
can, and we now have a quorum.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Okay. Sheesh.
Okay, Mr. President, we now have a quorum and you may continue.
Good deal. In an effort to minimize disruptions, the following meeting guidelines will apply. Number 1, board members, please keep your audio on mute at all times unless speaking. Make a motion, ask questions, etc. Number 2, each time you speak, please clearly state your name. Number 3, members of the public will be muted at all times except for the public comment period. Number 4, staff will be available to respond to questions following presentation of each item. Number 5, an extended pause during voting will be provided to ensure that all votes are recorded accurately. If in opposition or abstaining, please state your name. Number 6, please, the meeting The meeting is being recorded and will be later posted on NCT 911 website. The first order of business today is a public comment on agenda items. At this time, the public telephone lines will be unmuted and the members of the public may comment on any item on today's agenda. Please note that due to the limitations of Zoom, all members joining using the public link and call in numbers will be unmuted. If you do not wish to make public comment, please remute your line. If you do wish to make a comment, please announce your name, city of residence, and agenda item on which you will be speaking. A maximum of three minutes is permitted per speaker. At the conclusion of this opportunity, the public telephone lines will be muted for the duration of the meeting. Remember, all the public lines will be unmuted so you can remute if you do not wish to speak.
So it does not appear that we have any public comment. Thank you.
Okay, the public comment opportunity is now closed. Staff will go through the process of closing out the audio for the public comment. Please allow a moment for this process to be completed.
Sheriff Deeds, it's complete.
Okay, moving on to the first action item today is the approval of the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? And if they have, I'd take a motion to approve.
This is Lane Aiken. I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Motion by,
This is Jim Skinner, I second.
okay, we've had a motion by Lane Akins, and I think we had 2 seconds. Did COG staff catch that?
Yeah, I think we got Jim Skinner.
Okay, so motion was made and seconded. All in favor of approval of the minutes for the June 4th, 2020 minutes?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
So did we have one opposed, or is everybody good? I'd say motion carries. Moving on to resolution approving the fiscal year 2021 strategic plan. Christy Williams.
Yes, and for the record, Mr. President, Jim Skinner and Hal Richards have joined our call as well. So item 2 is a resolution approving the 2021 strategic plan. That plan was sent out via email to each of you early last week. On this slide, you will see the different components of the plan, and I just wanted to bring your attention to some of the items that are new this year. We have added our mission statement and values. Those are not new items, but they have not been included in this plan prior to this year. We also included a vision script, which gives our projections for the next 3 to 5 years into the future. It allows us to describe who we are today and who we want to be at that time, with some common industry performance measures included in that. We also upgraded or enhanced our major accomplishments that also include the attainments of our 2020 plan. So all of the items that were slated for 2020 now has the attainments in that major accomplishments section as well. And as we are very aware that we are an industry full of acronyms, we also added a glossary so that when you read things and said, what? You could turn to the back of the document and look it up. So we hope that these additions have been helpful. And if we could move to the next slide, please. So the meat of the document is a list of our projects scheduled for fiscal year 2021, these are the projects that were determined to be the highest priority and they fit within our budget. They were scoped to be completed in the fiscal year of 2021. Of course, there's always things that we cannot anticipate, but they are planned to be finished by the end of the year. And to reiterate, this is a companion document to our budget. And so all of the programs and projects identified in this section are also included in the budget, which you will be approving, or which will be up for approval after this item. The next part of the plan is the section that I would refer to as our roadmap. There are many different items that we are researching, working with different vendors, talking to early adopters throughout the country, participating in committees to learn about and solving problems that our PSAPs bring to us. And so we have a roadmap with all of these projects identified. We have even more flexibility with these items than with the rest of the document. We know that there could be funding issues or resource issues, or some items may not be commercially available when we want them to be, and there may be standards issues. So we may not be able to move forward on all of these items, but we wanted you to have an idea of the things that we are continuing to research and consider for future implementation. Next slide, please. So in summary, these projects are dependent on budget availability above all, and this is a living dynamic document, and many of the, well, some, if not many of the projects that we've identified, especially for this fiscal year, do not come with a price tag. They will only require our staff time and already approved contracts and from budgets of years past. So I would be happy to take any questions that you might have on the strategic plan.
This is Gary Kaplinger from City of Allen. I've got a few little questions or comments, if you'll entertain them. You answered a few of my questions right here as far as the living document stuff. I really appreciate all the work that's gone in to the strategic planning, and obviously the budget availability is going to dictate a lot of how this is done. I guess just to stay at a high level, I just want to make sure that we interact, and of course I'm new to this board, but interact with our end users in our different cities before we implement some of this stuff, because I know here in Allen, some of these things we're already doing or we've spent money on, and either need to know how we integrate with what y'all may do and stuff like that. So I guess that's just to kind of close. I'll just say I hope that we really reach out to, you know, the different cities and the people that are using this, and make sure that we can all, you know, integrate everything together so that we don't have any problems. Like I said, some of these we're already doing and spent money on, and I just, you know, as a steward of our taxpayers, I don't want to duplicate things or ours become non-existent. But good job overall. I really appreciate, you know, these are hard to do. Strategic plans are hard to do, especially in the ever-changing technology world we live in. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And to your point, we certainly have been making an effort to obtain more feedback from our PSAPs and our end users, and we will continue to do that. And I would like to comment on some things we have already done already. That is an issue we have faced over the years, that we have larger agencies and smaller agencies, and they have different budgets and resources. The commitment of this program is to provide an equal level of 911 service throughout the region. So sometimes you will see projects that we implement through the 911 system that some of our agencies may have the ability or the features through their CAD systems. And we have many agencies that don't even have a CAD system. So when we do a project that may appear to have some duplication, it is in an effort to make sure that we have an equal level of service throughout the region. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. And Councilmember Shimwell, did you have your hand raised? I'm sorry, I'm not used to looking for that icon.
Yes, ma'am, I did. I just wanted to make a comment. Thank you guys for all the work you guys put in on the strategic plan. My comments are similar. I appreciate, just want to make sure that we do have the flexibility and the fluidness necessary when strategically planning. Obviously, like the previous speaker from Allen, some of us are elected, some of us won't be elected or terming out. And so making sure that we're not hamstringing the board members that will be coming on in the future, that there's flexibility for them to make decisions and that they're not tied to if they have new ideas or, you know, things change in the future. So it's great to have a strategic plan, but to also make sure that there's fluidity and flexibility in that plan to maneuver how other members may maneuver in the future, and as problems or other things arise, technology, as you've stated, that we have that flexibility in the plan. So I appreciate all the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you very much for those comments.
Is there any other comments? If there's no other comments, then I'd entertain a resolution to approve the 2021 strategic plan.
Al Richards, I move to approve as presented.
Gary Cruz, Hunt County. I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution for the strategic plan for 2021. Is there any other comments? If there's no other comments, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Is there any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the resolution approving the fiscal year 2021 budget and setting the 911 emergency service fee. Norman?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and Board. I'm here today to present to you the fiscal year 2021 budget. Goes with the strategic plan and also for the setting the emergency service fee for our landline. The budget this year is a balanced budget. It's 10.3 million in revenue and 10.2 million in expenses. There are no capital expenditures planned and no change in our funded FTEs since the 2020 budget. Next slide, please. Our revenues, was there 10.3 million, wireless is 8.5 million. This is a 2% increase from last year or the current year, and the landline is 1.8 million, which is a decrease from last year. And this is primarily due to we have a little bit better data set in the budget this year, so we have a little bit more knowledge on what our landline fees are coming in at. And we're also requesting the rates to stay at 50 cents a line, 50 cents per line, which is the maximum amount allowed by law currently. Our expenses are 2.5% decrease from 2020, and just some major items on that. The staff, the NCT 911 staff budget is 4.8 million, which accounts for almost half of our budget. There are fewer 3 part-time intern positions that were reduced, but like I said before, the full-time positions are remaining the same as fiscal year 2020. We're also having less travel and employee development, primarily due to some of the COVID issues. Our next major expense is our network, which is most of our technology for the system. Is 2.6 million, which is a 4% increase from last year. And it's primarily for next gen core services, 880,000, and telecommunication transport costs. These are usually annual costs. Next slide, please, Jesse. And equipment, software, support, and maintenance budget, 887,000. This is a large increase from last year, but it's for 2 items primarily. There's a new GIS dispatch mapping system that will start in 2021 for 270,000. And then a maintenance agreement we've had, we just paid it for 2 years in 2019, which will add 190,000 to be due next year. In our contract services, we had it's 382,000, which is a 61% decrease. And this is just really lining with the cost for this year. We're just having less strategic consulting projects than we've had in the past. And our county reimbursements are 590,000, which is 8.5% decrease. And this is just our recorder reimbursements, which are set on a schedule. And this is just how much was scheduled for next year. Then the net cost for your fiscal agent, this includes your administration and legal services. This is 316,000, and it's an 8.3% decrease. It's primarily due to not having a marketing staff this year. It was never really filled. And as far as next steps, I'm here to answer any questions on this year's budget for you. I just need to approve the proposed budget for 2021 and the 50 cents emergency service fee for 2021. And we'll continue monitoring the fiscal year 2020 budget through the fiscal year, which will end September 30th. And we'll do presentations of the financial status reports during quarterly meetings for next year. So if you have any questions, I'll entertain them now.
Are there any questions? If there's no questions, I'd entertain a motion to approve the 2021 budget and the service fee of 50 cents for 2021.
Councilman Shimwell, McKinney, Texas, so moved.
Gary Cruz, Hunt County, second.
It's Councilman Shimwell, McKinney, Texas, so moved.
We had a motion and we had a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the resolution approving the 2021 budget and service fee for 2021?
Aye.
Any opposed? This sure is fun. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to resolution adopting revised NCT 911 bylaws. James Powell.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. This item is a culmination of several discussions the past few meetings regarding participation and board member quorum. As you may recall, our December meeting last year could not be conducted for lack of a quorum. And you also noticed that we were a bit tight today, at least at the beginning. So based on those discussions, feedback and specific direction that staff received during the June meeting in particular, I'm pleased to present this bylaws revision to you today for consideration. This revision, if adopted, will reduce the quorum from a majority to 1/3 of the appointed board members in office. This reduces the number of members needed to conduct business from 10 currently to 7. The change is reflected in section 2.7 of the bylaws and is shown on the slide in front of you. And consistent with the bylaws, it was provided to board members in advance early last week for review and consideration. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions that you may have.
Gary Kaplinger, move for approval.
Gary Cruz, second.
Okay, we have a motion for approval and a second. And yeah, this has come up for discussion in the past, and I know we've had some issues trying to get a quorum for a meeting. So yes, I believe this is something we need to do. So we've had the motion and the second. Any other questions or comments?
This is Christy, and I just wanted to point out that per our current bylaws, this does require 2/3 majority vote in order to change the bylaws.
Okay.
And we do have that participating in the meeting today.
All right. So all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposing? Looks like we have motion 4 to approve it. So the next item, resolution authorizing the contract with Mission Critical Partners LLC for public safety strategic counseling. Jesse.
Thank you, Mr. President and the board. Today, my resolution for you is authorizing a contract with Mission Critical Partners for public safety strategic consulting. And so just as a reminder, we utilize these public safety consultants to complete a variety of projects. We've utilized them for several years. Last year, in conjunction with the NetCog, we did a procurement process and entered into a shared cooperative purchasing contract. And so our request is to execute a new engagement letter with them this year for a maximum of $250,000. And those are only for projects complete. For example, this year we had 500,000 and we utilized much less than that. So it's only for work complete, and the projects are scoped for our best fit. So we're asking for approval to enter into a contract with MCP for a maximum of 250,000 for the next fiscal year. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Is there any questions?
Councilmember Shimwell has a question.
Yes, so I guess I have a problem with, at least in my city and in local government, with cronyism and utilizing companies, that we've known. And I guess my concern is if NCT 911, what is why haven't we put this out for an RFP or an RFQ or however you guys want to do it for procurement? And I understand that you guys use these before. What would be the reasoning for not doing that? Is there a timing issue? Is there a project that we're looking to do? And why not put this out for a bid for other companies? We are in the middle of a pandemic. I don't know if this company is still at a staffing ability to handle work at this time or not. But what would be the benefit of going with this company now rather than putting out a bid and seeing if other companies can handle this kind of work? And if they're at the top of the list, then so be it. I mean, I don't know them from any other company, but it just seems like we're not adhering to the proper protocols. And so is there something that is keeping us from doing that?
Sure, I'll make an attempt to answer that question, and Christy can always piggyback on my answer. We did go through the procurement process for last fiscal year. So we've utilized MCP for several years, and to be the best stewards of our money, we went out for procurement, and we actually SHARE, which is the COGS Cooperative Purchasing Program, entered into 2 contracts, one with MCP and one with another firm. And so we've scoped projects out with both of those because we do want to make sure we're using the best staffing and the best skill set for our needs. And so after going through that process, we attempted to utilize the other company, but they just didn't have the skill set. And so when we put it out for procurement, these were the firms that could best meet our needs. And that said, over the years, several years, we've been able to do more and more projects in-house. So our dollars spent on consulting have gone consistently down over the last several years because we do have more internal resources to do this. So we did go through the procurement process in the last fiscal year, and we're doing year-to-year engagement letters with those. Christy, is there anything you'd like to add to that? You're on mute.
No, thank you. That went through it very well, Jesse. Does that address your concern, Councilman?
Yeah, I just want some clarity. When we say we went through procurement, you're talking about COG went through procurement and not necessarily North Central Texas 911 board went through procurement. Is that correct?
So the way that it works is because we are related yet separate, our staff served on the selection committee for that procurement because we are the ones with the skill set. It just made those contracts available to others and opened us up to using one or both. So in theory, if there's another project that comes up where that other vendor's a better fit, we'll come back to you and request the ability to enter into an agreement with them. So it was
Okay.
COG with our staff serving as the subject matter experts.
Okay. Was that before or after we actually formed our own entity as North Central Texas 911 Board?
So it was a year, I believe we were already a district, and then we brought the contracts to you this time last year. Is that correct, James and Christy? You might correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so I'll jump in, Jesse. I think you've covered that very well. Yeah, just from the standpoint of this is really from a district standpoint, I think a win-win. When you look at NCT 911 actually scoped the RFP. I mean, so NCT 911 developed the scope that went out for procurement and then sat on the evaluation committee that ultimately recommended entering into contracts with 2 vendors. And then those are now part of COG's Share Cooperative Purchasing Program, which means that not only can NCT 911 utilize that contract and those contracts, but so can other districts, other municipalities across the state, that they're also able to utilize those contracts. So in this case, while technically it's reflected as a utilizing a cooperative purchase, NCT 911, the COG staff that serves to NCT 911 are the ones that were the subject matter experts, developed the criteria, and that's no different than if we'd gone out for procurement and then brought the contract back to the board. The difference here is the COG Share program allows other governments to also be able to utilize those vendors.
Okay, sounds great. So it's going to save us time, and it's ultimately going to save us money. And we did go through a procurement process, and NCT 911 was a part of that process. And if
that's correct,
if you guys are saying that that's the legal way to do it, then I'm okay with that. I just want to be clear that we're not going to reach out to companies that we already are in bed with or whatever, that we are going out and giving fair opportunities for everyone to apply to bid on these opportunities. And this is the best company for that job.
Yes, in this particular instance, the utilization of the co-op, because the co-op procurement was developed by the COG staff that serve NCT 911, it essentially is a NCT 911 procurement, but you also have the benefit of being able to have other member governments, have other districts across the state utilize these contracts if they so wish.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the work. Thank you for taking the time to answer my questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion for authorizing the contract with Mission Critical Partners for Public Safety Strategic Counseling Services.
I'll make that motion that we approve this item.
Gary Cruz, I'll second that.
Okay, a motion was made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion to authorize the contract with Mission Critical Partners?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed, motion carries. Okay, next is resolution authorizing a contract with SHI Government Solutions for Microsoft licenses, renewals, and additional licenses. Clay.
Thank you, and good afternoon, board managers. This resolution is authorizing a contract with SHI Government Solutions to not only renew existing licenses, but procure additional licenses as well to bring us up to compliance with Microsoft rules on server licenses. The not to exceed amount of $500,000 will enable us to renew for probably 4 annual renewals, which is what we've gone to for easier budgeting each year. Pretty cut and dry on that. So any questions?
This is the DIR contract, so that's an easy one there. So
Yes, sir.
there's no other questions. So do we have a motion to authorize a contract with SHI Government Solutions for Microsoft license renewals and additional licenses?
Gary Cruz, I so move.
Is there a second?
Jennifer Berthium, City of Murphy, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to authorize the contract with SHI Government Solutions for Microsoft license renewals and additional licenses. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're on to informational items, NCT 911 2019 award winners. Jason.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon, board members. Each year, NCT 911 honors PSAPs and telecommunicators throughout our region who have demonstrated professionalism, initiative, diligence, and creativity. When the call for nominations is sent out, PSAPs can submit nominations based on criteria for each category. Once all nominations are received, NCT 911 staff members and PSAPs can review and vote whom they feel is most deserving in each category. Now, normally we would do some type of in-person presentation to acknowledge all winners and nominees, but because of the current pandemic, we have not been able to do that. However, we recently acknowledged all the winners on our social media channels, and gradually the awards will be delivered to the winners themselves. On the screen and in your packet is a list of the 2019 NCT 911 winners. The web link that you see also will route you to our website where you can actually see pictures of each of the award winners, as well as read their nominations that was submitted. Also, I would like to announce that recently the Texas chapters of APCO and NENA had their award ceremonies, and a few people from within our region were selected as winners. For Texas APCO, Aaron Irwin with the Allen Police Department was awarded the Technical Professional of the Year award, and Andrew Silva with McKinney Police Department was awarded Supervisor of the Year. And from Texas NENA, Laura Salters from Collin County Sheriff's Office was selected as a Silent Hero Award winner. So I would like to say congratulations to all of the award winners and to the nominees. Job well done, and we thank them for their support and dedication to our program. And Mr. President, that's all I have.
Congratulations to all those winners. Is there any comments on that before we move on?
Mr. President, for the record, I did not hear a second on the last action item. If you could help.
For the Microsoft? Sorry, that was Jennifer Berthium from the City of Murphy.
I'm sorry, I'm incorrect. It was not the last one. It was the bylaws discussion.
Oh, on the bylaws, so item number 4, the bylaws that James presented.
Correct.
I didn't write that down, so does anybody
Yeah,
remember? Or do we need to take a vote on it again?
I believe that was me, Gary Cruz, Hunt County.
It was.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Moving on to quarterly financial report. Norman.
Yes, welcome again. I'm going to keep this one pretty short to save some time. You all have the financial status reports and notes in your packet. There's some items that the budget was compared to was developed in the spring of 2019. We had barely started as a district, so I have very limited information, especially for revenue. And the financial status report represents 10 months for the current fiscal year. Next slide, please. Now the revenues through July is 8.5 million or 97% of that target, and expenses were 7.3 million or 84%. So we are living within our means. And as you can tell, that's pretty much the way it has been every quarter. So to save time, if you have any questions on the financial status report, I'll take them.
there any questions on the financial status report? If there's no questions, I guess we'll move on to the director's report. Christie.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. If you will notice from your from the strategic plan, it did list all of our accomplishments, which is normally a separate section in your handouts. So the accomplishments are in the strategic plan. The quarterly reporting is attachment G from your packet, and your attendance is attachment H if you wanted to look at any of this information. I know that this was mentioned during the budget report, but I wanted to highlight that we are implementing a new dispatch mapping project or product in the next few months. Our staff will be working with the PSAPs to schedule specific dates that those implementations will take place. And just as a reminder, we did go out for RFP for this product based on end of life with our current product. So that new mapping product will be implemented in the next few months, and it will bring enhanced services to our telecommunicators and our PSAPs. We also were honored to be featured in an article in Dallas Innovates this month that highlighted the NCT 911 working in conjunction with our transportation department on an implementation of Waze information into the PSAPs. And lastly, I would like to just give you the latest update in our wireless fee increase possibilities. The Texas Alliance, which is the association that works with all of the 911 districts throughout the state of Texas, has drafted 3 different legislation pieces for consideration in the next session on increasing the state wireless fee from the 50 cents that it is today. I think I told you last time that there are 3 different options that are being made available, and we are one of the lowest state rates in the country, and there is money needed to implement this new next generation technology. So they continue to work on that effort, and they have identified Phil King, Representative Phil King, who is in our area and serves Parker County and Wise County, as a key member of the legislative body to take this message to. And so I want to thank Sheriff Akins, who has agreed to help us get a meeting with Phil King and work with him. If any of the others of you, other people have or know of people with strong relationships with Phil King's office, you're welcome to call or email me and let me know that as well. But at this time, I'd like to thank the Wise County Sheriff for his participation and championing support. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. I guess that brings us to the end of our meeting. So then, unless I've overlooked anything, next meeting will be December 3rd, 2020. So anybody else have anything last minute to say?
Yes, sir. I wanted to apologize to everyone. I missed the last meeting. That was not my intention. I give everyone a hard time about being committed to this board so that we can have a quorum. And so it'd be hypocritical of me to not apologize to you all. I guess with COVID-19, a lot of my schedule is wrapped around lunch. And I guess because I was missing out on those fajitas and they were no longer on my schedule, I missed the last meeting. Anyways, with that being said, I apologize to you all, charge it to my stomach, my head, and not my heart. And appreciate all the sacrifices you all have made to be here and make time for these meetings. So thank you.
Yeah, it's going to take all of us to be a part of this so we can keep this going and make the quorums. So thank you for that comment. Is there any other comments? If not, then I guess we'll close this meeting at this time at 1:21. So the meeting is adjourned.
Thank
Thank
you all.
you, Roger.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.